Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Big East Rewind. I am your 7-foot host from Villanova University, and my partner, as always, my main man, Dr. Sonny Sparrow. How are you, Sonny?
I'm great, Chuck. I'm great. My back is hurting because I've watched a few videos of
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Thank God you weren't number 16.
Somebody
That's
bent in
all I can
half
tell you.
backwards. I'm thinking, thank God it wasn't me.
Well, we'll definitely get into that, Sonny, with our guests. Listen, like we said last week in last week's show, we were getting a little bit stale with some of the college basketball stuff, and last week was MLB, rewind with our good pal Jeff Nelson, and today we're going to do NFL rewind, Sonny. NFL rewind. We're going to go back and take a look at one of the greatest Giant players ever to play with this team. And a good buddy of mine, we know each other a long, long time. So I'm going to introduce him right now. He's a 12-year NFL pro, 3-time Giants MVP, Sonny, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time All-Madden team, and is a member of the Giants Ring of Honor. Please welcome to the show, number 70, New York Giant legend, Leonard Marshall. How are you, Len?
I'm doing good, pal. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It was good to see you. You look great, first of all. We said this off air. I mean, you and I get together. When we do, we have a lot of fun, but we don't get together as often as we should, like a lot of people. But I mean,
Right.
Man, you look really fantastic. I got to tell you. And you're always handsome since I know you, so that's another thing, right?
Hats off to my wife. I think my wife, it started with her and us both going on diets. And so hats off to her. But yeah, I've gone through a major transformation, man. I tell you, it's been enlightening.
Yeah, you look healthy, Len. You really do. It's good. Good.
I feel great. I feel like I can go back out there and play again, but I know better than that.
You know what? I
know better than that.
Listen, I'm not gonna piss you off. I tell you that. You're a little quicker now. I can tell you by looking at you. So
the little Ray Lewis.
You always had those quick feet, man.
Yeah.
That's when Ray Lewis decided to lose some weight, so he's a little quicker in the lineup.
Man, not kidding.
Yeah.
So let's kick this thing off. So you grew up in Louisiana, and you're the oldest of 7 kids. Your mom and dad had 7 kids. Talk about growing up in Louisiana and what that was like for you.
Well, I tell you, it's a dream come true for me to get a chance to do what I did, from where I grew up on the bayou. So we're pretty much almost at the tip top of the United States. I come from the southernmost point in the United States, a little town on the bayou called Franklin, Louisiana. And we're known for crawfish, boudin, and some of the best eating you ever had in your life. If it can fly, parch, swim, or mate, we will fry it in Louisiana. and so I come from that country where food was wild. It was gamey. It was always my first love outside of sports. And having a chance to achieve your dream, Chuck, as a kid from the bayou was far-fetched for me. I mean, I grew up in segregation, until 1968, when the Civil Rights Act passed, and Dr. King allowed or forced people to integrate and go to school together, play together, have recess together, and come to understand each other's cultures. Man, it was a far-fetched dream for me.
Yeah.
So 1968 changed my life. 69, 70, I played my first basketball game. I'm on a bitty basketball team. Half of the kids are Caucasian, half of the kids are Black. And my coach is an older Caucasian gentleman by the name of Ray Landry. And all I can remember from Ray when I was a little boy, him telling me that, Leonard, if you just put it in, you'll get it all out. Everything that you want to accomplish. I said, Ray, what are you talking about? I'm on the bayou. I'm a kid from the bayou. I'm 9, 10 years old. Put it in, I'll get it out. I mean, I couldn't fathom that, Chuck.
Right.
And, as time would go and his life would go on, I found that some of those words that man whispered in my ear of encouragement and the motivation he gave me, because basketball was my first love. I just didn't think I could, go to the next level and dunk a basketball like Charles Barkley and some of the other guys that 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", but
I bet you can
and
now.
go ahead.
I bet you can now.
I can now. I can now. Even at 63, I can. But so it was like living the dream, man, coming from the Bayou.
Now,
Now, I
Go
gotta
ahead,
ask
Tommy.
you a question because my daughter just spent some time. They had relocated for a period of time. Went to a big crawfish boil, right?
Sure.
So you want to tell us the technique on eating the crawfish?
So the technique to eating the crawfish, first of all, you got to make sure the person that's cooking the crawfish, they're doing a good job.
that's
So if
right.
the crawfish don't have corn, potatoes, sausage, eggs, a ton of goddamn cayenne pepper, and a ton of seasoning in it, don't eat it. They don't know what they're doing. The second thing you must do is make sure when you do grit the crawfish out the pot, you got a cold beer sitting next to you. And whatever you do, do not put your hand next to your eye because you will want to pull your eye right out of its socket. And then when it gets to the crawfish, you got to pop that head and you got to suck that head and peel that meat out that tail. And then you go to town. So it's a hell of a lot of work for a little bit of piece of meat about that big.
Well, she
Yeah.
figured it out. Somebody showed her, and she was a little squeamish, but then after a while, she's a pro. She
That's
told me
it.
she's going to teach me.
It is a lot of work, though, Len. You're
It's
all
a lot
right.
of work to eat crawfish, man.
Man.
It's a lot of work.
Spent some time down there and had some of that stuff. It's good eating, believe me. And we have
it's great
we
eating.
have a spot up here in Long Island. I keep telling you, you got to come out. Because
Okay.
we got the spot, all the Creole stuff that you love. So we'll have to
It's
get
called Crawdaddies, right?
Big Daddies. It's called.
Big Daddies.
Yeah, they love you. For everything in there is LSU. They'd go
all right.
So now you talk about your recruitment and how you got to LSU. You wanted to just stay home? Was that part of the deal, or I know you were recruited by a lot of guys. So talk about that and how you got to LSU.
My craziest trip, Chuck, I was on a plane from Lafayette, Louisiana, going to Norman, Oklahoma. And I'm with two All-Americans, high school All-Americans, Malcolm Scott and Darryl Sanji. And we stop in a little town called Hooks, Texas, and we pick up another kid. We're on our way to Norman, Oklahoma. The kid we picked up was a running back who was probably the leading rusher in the state of Texas that year. And I had no idea it was. We get all the way to Norman, Oklahoma. We check into our room, and my tour guide is J.C. Watts and Louis Oubre. His tour guide is Billy Sims and some other kid that played for University of Oklahoma. It turns out the running back on the trip is Eric Dickerson.
Oh, wow.
And so they bunked us together the first night. And of course, the second night he had his own room. You know what they had to do. So they hooked him up while he was there. So he couldn't have me in the room when he getting hooked up. So, but it worked out. I enjoyed my trip. I thought it was the craziest trip I'd ever been on as a kid from Louisiana. You go to a school like that. And then I turn around and I go take a visit to University of Alabama. And I meet that guy with his hat cocked to the side by the name of Bear Bryant. And that one opened my eyes up and blew my mind, because here I am talking to possibly the greatest football coach in all of high school, college football, especially coming to recruit me from Franklin, Louisiana. I'm like, why is he here? And comes to my house, meets my parents, tells me these wild story tales about Alabama football and all this. And, his last remark to me, Chuck, and I'll never forget it. Hey, Leonard, you want to win the national championship, right? Come to Alabama. Come to Alabama, and you'll win the national championship.
Wow.
Chuck, that was hard to turn down, man.
Yeah.
That was hard to turn
I
down.
bet.
To turn down, man. And then the next week, I'm home, and this guy comes from Baton Rouge named Charlie McClendon, and he's got his hat cocked to the side and a toothpick in his mouth. And because he's an old Cajun boy from Louisiana, he's talking a language my father clearly understands.
Yeah.
My father said, listen to me, Mr. McClendon, you're going to take care of my boy? He said, I'm not going to take care of him. I got a big old bag over here to take care of him. The rest was history.
Wow.
The rest was history. The rest was history.
Yeah, and I know Bear Bryant, regretted it because you had a game against them, and he went over to you. What did he say to you after that? He said
He whispered in my ear. He goes, you should have come to Alabama, right? He said, I'm still trying to figure out a way to block your ass. I can't seem to be able to block you, but I told Mal Moore, if he don't figure it out, he can go on your sideline.
That had to be fun playing down there. I mean, you had your hometown crowd down there, right? You're not that. How far were you from Franklin at that point?
At that point, let me see, Baton Rouge to Franklin, probably 90, 93, 94 miles.
Yeah, it's not
or so a half hour to Lafayette and another 45 minutes to an hour from Lafayette to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, not bad.
But I loved it, man. I loved it, Chuck. And what I loved about it the most was, that old Tiger Stadium.
Yep.
That we played in. LSU has such a rich tradition with football, and and it's probably the proudest sport that they play in that state. Even though some people think that the women and men's basketball team and the women and men's baseball and softball team are at an elite level, in which they are. But back in my era, it was football. I mean, it was 95,000 people on a Saturday night drinking wild turkey and chasing it with, Miller Lite more than any place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Now, do they still want you like back at games? I mean, is Brian Kelly, has he done a lot to incorporate the former players and the traditions?
He's done a great job with that. I went to see Coach Kelly last fall. We talked about NIL. We talked about some of his challenges recruiting. We talked about the transfer portal. That's driving him crazy because he doesn't quite get it yet. The kids all wanting to come now. They want bags of money.
Right.
I mean, they want an NIL commitment from you and the university before they even take a visit. I heard a story about one kid that showed up and said, if you don't have a check, I'm leaving tomorrow. Like that didn't happen in our era, Chuck. That wasn't the deal. So, we were lucky to get 3 hot meals and a cot to sleep on back in the day.
That's right.
But, it's what it is now. I can tell you this. Last year, my old D-line coach at LSU at 84 years old, he went back to coach their defensive line when they had some trouble. He helped turn their football team around. They ended up going to a bowl game because of him. And so kudos to Pete Jenkins, my friend and college mentor, and like a second father to me, man.
Yeah.
Guy changed my life.
Yeah, that SEC is, this close to being NFL. I mean, that's about as close as it gets, right, Len? I mean, those games, like every game is a war. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's a flat-out war, man. It's a flat-out war. You go play Georgia and Alabama in between the hedges, play Georgia, and you go to Alabama and play them in Tuscaloosa. It's something special.
Yeah, and it's close to 100,000 people in the stands. It's crazy. There's they got, and everybody's got their own thing. They got, the Alabama, what they do at their place. You got Warhawk Eagle, at Auburn. You got the Grove at Ole Miss. It's a happening. I mean, it's something. If you haven't gone to an SEC football game, you really have to, put that on your bucket list. It doesn't even matter who it is, right, Len?
The pageantry is
That's
ridiculous.
it. That's the right word. Yep.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You go to an LSU Tiger game on a Saturday night, there's 106,000 people. There's probably 450 buses in the parking lot. Wow. There's a guy over here making jambalaya. There's another guy over here boiling crawfish. There's a whole goddamn section them playing Zydeco music. It is a goddamn shit show.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
It is.
But that's when it's the most fun, Len.
Yeah.
And now that you don't play, I mean, you can enjoy all that stuff like everybody else.
Yeah, I can really enjoy it now. So when I go home, it's quite a treat, man. I get to see guys I went to college with, and we all were broke then. Now we're not so broke. So we can have a little bit more fun now.
So go ahead, Sonny.
When you're at LSU, at what point do they start talking about playing on Sundays?
Oh, God, it was my dream. I think going into my junior year, I started talking to my friends and I started telling the guys, in our locker room. I said, guys, we could be as good as we want to be if we play our tails off, and it starts in this off-season program. If we work our tail off and we go in our senior year and we're healthy, I don't think I see us losing 2 games. I said, if I see us losing 2 games, and if we improve from that,
Yeah.
fellas, we could end up with 11 guys going in the NFL draft. Well, I'll be damned. All 11 guys on our defense end up getting drafted in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft in 1983.
That's something, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you were 37th overall by the Giants, right?
I was the first player drafted from LSU to play professional football in 1983.
Okay. So did you have any clue, that you were going to go to New York? At that
I had
point?
I had a great interview with Bill Parcells. I remember him telling me I'm going to cut a player by the name of Gary Jeter. He and Jeter had a love-hate relationship. He told me, that's the jersey you're going to get, that number 70. He says, you wore that number in high school, right? I go, yeah, I wore it in high school. He go, I'd like you to wear it here. I said, oh, man, you kidding me, right? He goes, well, I'm going to tell you something. You go back home and you keep doing what you're doing. Don't be surprised if you hear from me.
Wow.
That's how he.
And the rest is, as they say, history, right, Len? I mean, that's unbelievable. And I know you had a close relationship with Parcells that goes on for a long time, right? I mean,
Yeah, I still maintain a pretty
coach?
good relationship with him. I still maintain a pretty good relationship with Bill Belichick. I love Bill Belichick, man. I think the guy is. I just think that he's the cat's meow when it comes to football. I can't wait to be standing on the sideline when he breaks Don Shula's record, because I really believe he's going to go back into coaching and do that.
Yeah,
So do
you
I.
think? Yeah, so do I. I mean, you think he's just biding his time before he picks the right situation? Is that
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think, and for him, I would do the same thing. Coaches have always had options that players didn't, but now with free agency, players have a little bit more ability to move. But coaches now, they can demand whatever they want. You might even see a collaboration with Bill Belichick running the offense and Nick Saban joining him and running the defense.
Wow.
Now that would be crazy, right?
That would be crazy. Yeah.
That would be crazy. Both of them coming out of retirement and going taking an NFL team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's funny with, you mentioned NIL and the portal earlier. I mean, a lot of these coaches are getting out. A guy like Saban, there's got to be a reason for that. I don't think it's burnout. I mean, to me, he seems like he still loves the game and everything. I think it's all the extra nonsense that they have to deal with now. It's crazy now, right?
It's NIL, Chuck. NIL, the transfer portal. It's the scholarship players, non-scholarship players, players moving and leaving the program because they didn't start, or their father and mother getting in their ear telling them, you ain't gonna play next year. You need to move. There's no loyalty anymore, Chuck. There's just no. If you don't have a brown bag in the offseason to keep them, they're bouncing, pal.
That's it, man. Yep.
Yeah. You know who's going to learn a big lesson with NIL this year in the transfer portal? Deion Sanders.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I agree with that.
I haven't heard much. I have not heard much about players.
No.
He lost 35 players in his program.
Yep. That's a lot. Wow. That's unbelievable. So let me ask you, Len, what would you come in to practice for the first time now? You put the pads on and you're getting ready to, to get into your thing. What was your welcome to the NFL moment, whether it be at practice or a game? And what was the incident that occurred that said, okay, Rook, welcome to the NFL?
Bill Parcells had a major hard-on for the fact that I didn't come into camp knowing what it took to call yourself a pro football player. I thought I was still at LSU, the biggest, fastest, strongest guy in the program, the big bad wolf as I was at LSU. And man, I got handed my head the first 3 days in training camp. I had guys like Rich Humphrey and John Tutola and a number of different guys that I just became their punching bag. And I said to myself after about my third week about my second to third week in practice and training camp, they put me on this crazy, ridiculous diet called a Cambridge diet. And I dropped 23 pounds in 3 weeks. I end up putting on 8 pounds of muscle. I reduced my body fat down to about 14%.
Wow.
And I turned myself into this lean, mean, pass rushing demon and 2-gap run stopper that, they never even thought they would see. I guess that moment, that tactical moment what woke me up, what ended up happening was he put me in every defensive play from the start of practice to the end of practice. It was 73 football plays in a row. And to the point where my knees would buckle. I had guys would come off the line of scrimmage and I didn't have it. I just didn't have any energy left. But he wanted to break me. He wanted to see what it was going to take to break me, and he broke me.
Wow.
He broke me.
That's a lesson. I mean, that's a lesson. You probably thanked him years later, right?
Oh, I did. I said to him, you made me a better player. You taught me toughness, and you made me a better player. And then I turned it back on him because I put like 5 of his guys in the hospital. So I said, you know what? That's what you get for doing this. So.
Well, you created the monster. That's it. That's what happened.
Now, was Belichick running the defense when you got there?
Yeah, he was running the defense when I got there. Yeah,
that was the start of it.
He was pretty good D coordinator. But then he got some players. He got some talent. I showed up. Carl showed up.
Yeah.
Gary Reason showed up. Pepper Johnson showed up. You
know,
the players came in the program that he could coach that had some talent.
That year, that first Super Bowl team, that might have been arguably one of the best defenses ever assembled. Don't you agree with LT, yourself, and I mean the only group I think that kind of matches up is maybe the '85 Bears. Maybe. But that crew, man. I mean, you rolled through the playoffs. You put licks on Washington and the 49ers. I think you beat the 49ers like 49-3. You beat Washington 17-0, and then took care of business and won the game by 19 points against Denver that first one.
That team gave up. That team won 5 NFC titles. That team won 5 NFC titles in the 80s. And I tell you that the special thing about that group is they were very stingy. Very stingy. And we were stingy that way because we were coached by a guy with a genius IQ in Bill Belichick.
Well, what was it? What was it about him and the chemistry and all the other factors? What was it about him that made you mentioned about the players came in, but what made him so special?
His attention to detail. His attention to detail was incredible, and he turned me into a clone of him. I was him on the field. So like if Lawrence Taylor didn't know where to be, or Lawrence Taylor was misaligned, or he forgot the play that was called, the scheme that was called, I was the guy to get him lined up next to me in the right place and let him know what the call was in the huddle and made sure he heard the call and made sure he knew whether he was in pass coverage or he was supposed to rush, or he was covering the back out the backfield. I mean, so I became like a clone of Belichick. I wanted to be in his head, and I wanted him in my head every play of the game, and because I thought and played exactly to what his strengths were, which is attention to detail.
Right.
What was it like with Lawrence Taylor? Like he elevated that position to where he was, quote, the best defensive player in the game. What was it like playing with him? I know he's got legendary character, antics, etc. Tell us a little bit about some of your times with him.
Well, I tell you, the funniest times with him was when my rookie year when I first came up here. He was one of the first guys that I friended when I got into the program. And I said to him, he said to me, "Hey man, you got this U-Haul full of stuff there. What are you gonna do with that thing?" He said, "You're gonna be up in Pleasantville for 30 days. Then why don't you park that thing in my house? And on the weekend, you come and get what you need when you need it." And so we got to be tight that way. and I got to meet his family. I got to meet his wife, his children, and got to spend time away from him being LT, him just being Lawrence Taylor. And because there's two different people. There's LT, there's Lawrence Taylor. I love Lawrence Taylor. That LT guy, I liked him on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Especially when you're on his team, Len. I mean, it's easy to like the guy when you're playing with him, right?
Yeah. So like as teammates, I can tell you he was amazing. Some of the things that we did that Bill Belichick designed scheme-wise, and the ability to us to make plays and take over other teams' offense was incredible. I mean, the two-man defensive line stunts that we ran, some of the blitzes we ran with Harry Carson and Jim Burt, some of the schemes we ran with George Martin, three-man schemes and things like that to get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
Those were all great and fun times and things that I'll always remember.
Tell the story, Len, about you and Lawrence, coming up with stunts, and Belichick asking you what was going on.
Oh, so we're in practice one day. And Lawrence and I decided to improvise. And so Bill made some calls and he says, I want you, we're gonna play a little situational football. And I want you guys to show me what you would do if this situation presents itself. So it was the Redskins offense, which was the 2 tight end, sometimes 3 tight end offense. And sometimes they would do it to the tune where they would keep 2 tight ends on one side and then motion a guy, another tight end, to create an unbalanced formation. But yet it was really illegal to do, but they do it so they could deal with Lawrence and I, and they slide the line of scrimmage. So I tell Bill, you know what? When they move that tight end and make that tight end go to the other side, watch what I do. So they move the tight end. I said, Lawrence, slide down. And I slide in over the guard. And next thing you know, I turn to Lawrence and I look at Lawrence. I kind of look out of my right eye, go, I'm going first. And so I said, you. And he said, you? I said, yeah, you. So I'd hit the gap and he'd come right off of my butt. The next thing you know, the quarterback's either my arms or his arms. Belichick said, what made you guys come up with that? I said, you like that, huh? You like that? He goes, yeah, I think we're gonna put that in the game plan.
He winds up putting it in, right?
So that's what he turned to. He turned to doing that.
That's unbelievable.
And then he saw that we could do it more often and we can get away with it because teams would come out and try to see if they could challenge us and stretch us. They would take the tight end out the game and they would try to stretch me and Lawrence to either run inside of us or run outside of us. And he and I we're just evenly yoked. And it didn't hurt to have that guy 53 standing in on my left-hand side.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt having him there. So
yeah, he's pretty good too.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player too.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, those guys, when I say those guys, Belichick and Parcells, did they have to treat LT a little differently than everybody else as far as, bending the rules a little bit for them, if team rules and stuff?
Modifying the rules.
Yeah, I gotta kind of like blur the lines sometimes for this guy. I mean, you know what I'm getting at, Len. I mean,
oh yeah.
Tell me the story when he went to sign the autographs.
I'll give you a crazy Taylor story. So we're playing the Bears in 86. We're playing the Bears. This is the season after they kicked our ass in the championship game. And we go into Chicago and we get there a bit early, Chuck. Get there a bit early. And so Parcells said, hey guys, we got a meeting at 9:00. Curfew's at 11. I'm gonna let you guys have a little bit of fun. Let you go out, see Chicago a little bit, go have some dinner, but make sure you're back here at 7 and make sure you're in that meeting at 9. Lawrence doesn't come back till about 8:00. He gets back and he comes in the meeting and he's got a leather coat over his shoulder and his arms are behind his back, Chuck. And I'm saying, what the hell is going on with LT? He got his arms behind his back. So, and the whole while he's walking with his arms behind his back, but he doesn't want to take that coat off. And I said, "What's up, man? What you doing with the coat on like that?" He goes, Don't say nothing. I go, hey, how you not gonna say something? You know, you standing with a coat on, we're in a meeting, we're in a door, and you got your arms behind your back. Are you handcuffed? Turns out the fool was handcuffed. Wherever he was, whoever he was with, put the handcuffs on him, Chuck, and left him on him.
Oh man.
It didn't give him the key. So he came to the meeting handcuffed with a leather coat on. So you know what they said? They said, okay.
Well, you know it wasn't law enforcement.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the rest is history from there. But this dude, and I've seen that more than one time, fellas.
Yeah, I bet.
I've seen that more than one time. But
I was referring to the one when he went and signed the autographs at the bar mitzvah and came to the team meeting late, and Belichick went to Parcells to complain.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, tell him that one. That's
well,
a good
that one. Well, yeah, Belichick went to complain to Parcells, and Parcells said to him, "Well, if you played like that, I bet you do it too."
Yep.
It's different strokes for different folks.
So during that period of time, you know, when during the first Super Bowl year, who was the team that gave you the most problems in the NFC?
I think the Redskins were that team. Between them and the 49ers, the Redskins were that team. So we wanted to make sure that we sent them a message. So in '86, we were the first team to beat a direct NFC rival 3 times in the same season. We beat the Panthers off of them 17-0. We beat them at their ballpark in D.C. and we beat them here in New York. And then we went on to play San Francisco here and beat them 49-3 in a game that was totally lopsided for them. We put Montana in the hospital. Jim Burt knocked Joe out the game. And it was a horrible day for them, man. You know, horrible day for them.
Talk about what that's like, man. You're going now to your first Super Bowl, right? Everybody from our point of view knows about the pomp and circumstances.
Right.
Talk about the craziness it is to be a player, the ticket requests, the amount of pulling this way and that way for media requests. Talk about the craziness it is as a player. Now, you still had that week off, right, between the championship game and the Super Bowl.
Yes,
so
that year.
Talk about that whole process, Leonard.
Yeah,
how
so that whole process, for me, that whole process was crazy because they told me they gave each player 25 tickets each. And then they told the players that, listen, don't sell those tickets. Whatever you do, don't sell those tickets. Because if they find out you sell the tickets, they're going to be really, really upset with you. And so meanwhile, there's guys buying tickets, there's guys doing this, guys doing that. And, you know, it was just a crazy time. You know, the funniest thing that happened was, you know, you get to Los Angeles and you don't know the place at all.
Right.
You don't know where to go. You don't want to hang out, and you hear about all this gang stuff in LA. So you really kind of treading things lightly. So most of the players hung around Anaheim. They hung around Huntington Beach and all that stuff. So we found this one place called the Red Onion. And the Red Onion used to be like a Mexican food franchise. And they had dancing, they had music, they had food and everything. Man, before we left LA, them guys knew everything there was to know about the Red Onion. I mean, it was their party spot, their eat spot, everything, man. They took over the Red Onion, I think, in either Costa Mesa or Huntington Beach, California.
Wow. So that game, that Super Bowl, that was, you know, now it's a thing. It's been a thing forever since 1987 when you guys played that game.
Oh, yeah.
How did the Gatorade splash happen? That was Harry Carson, right?
The Gatorade thing happened from Harry, but the Gatorade thing, I think, was a copycat of something they tried in Chicago. I think the Chicago Bears was the first team to try it, and Duncan Mike Ditka. And Harry picked up on it, and it became our thing because, you know, the fans loved it. The people loved it. Bergen County loved it, where the stadium sits.
Right.
Most of the players lived in Bergen County. So, you know, Harry got this big identity from doing it. And, you know, it worked out that it became a signature mark of our football team, that once we won a game, we would dunk Bill Parcells. So, it was really, really cool. And it's something I look back on with a lot of glee and a lot of gleam in my heart for what New York Giant football really was, the original version of it, the
Right.
stuff that we went through. So
now that was the game. Phil was MVP, right? Sims.
yes,
That game. So he, the second Super Bowl you guys went to, he didn't get to play. He got injured, right? You had to go with
Right.
hospital.
right. He got
Talk
injured.
about that. I mean,
let's skip this one.
Before we start, Len,
Let's skip this one.
Sonny is a huge Buffalo Bills fan.
Is
So
that right?
he's
I
gonna
was
know
at that
he's gonna
game.
know
Oh, my
details.
The only
He's gonna
Super
know
Bowl
details.
I went to that game, man. Broke my
Poor
heart.
Sonny.
Yeah, that was a tough loss, Sonny. That was a tough loss,
Well,
man.
I tell you what. Before we get to that game, let's back up a half a second.
Please do.
Okay?
Yeah, please do.
All right, Sonny. I'll
Back up freely.
Near you a little bit. All right. So we got to talk about the game that got you to the Super Bowl against the 49ers and the hit that you put on Joe Montana. And I got to tell you, Len, and you and I have talked about this briefly, but not in detail, and what I admired about it, because I watched it about 10 times today too, the hustle that you displayed. You got knocked down on a block and crawled and got back up until you completed what you wanted to complete, which was the devastation of Joe Montana.
Devastation, damn near elimination.
Listen, Sonny, I got to tell you, look, I looked this thing up today, because we do our due diligence, Sonny, as professional
We
journalists.
are professional
That we
journalists.
talk about that all the time, right? But he wound up, Len, with a bruised sternum, a bruised stomach, cracked ribs, and a broken hand. And he was out for a long time.
Out for a long time.
And it was clean. It was a clean hit, and that's So talk about
there wasn't a broken vertebrae in there.
Talk about how that happened, because that was. I think there was one of the groups that voted that the most devastating hit, and probably in the top 3, right, in football history. It was incredible.
Well, it was a play it was a hustle play and definitely an effort play, and one that coaches. I've gotten so many calls from coaches about that football play. They use it as a teaching moment to teach and coach players, just to show that play to the whistle. Play to the whistle blows. That's what you were taught from day one. No matter what sport you played, you were taught to play to the whistle blow. So it just so happened that that particular play happened after Jim Burt almost took Jeff Hostetler's knee out in the same game. And it wasn't my thing to really go out and personally maim or try to injure Mr. Montana or really ruin and destroy this man's career. That never was the kind of player I was.
Right.
This was the zeal for the game, my zeal for being a pass rusher, and me just doing my job.
That's it.
Doing what they paid me to do. And I see an opportunity, I leave my feet, and the rest is history.
Oh.
Going into the game, we had a lot of doubt because we didn't think that the stage was big enough. No, we didn't think that Jeff Hostetler was big enough for the stage. But we knew that Jeff was a gamer. We knew that he was a tough guy. Hell, he saw the best defense in football every week and playing against us in practice.
Yeah.
So, bodies flying around him, guys that could potentially sack him and break his neck, at times. We ended up patting him on the butt. Ha ha, we were here, that kind of thing. But, I guess the thing was he rallied around the play of our defense. And our defense was relentless that day. We wanted to go to Buffalo or go into Tampa. We wanted to go into Tampa and play the Bills. We knew the Bills that scored 91 points in 2 weeks against their opponent.
And we wanted high-flying offense,
Yeah, we want to take a shot at that K-gun offense.
K-gun, yeah.
So before we get into the game, I have to ask you this too. You go from Phil Simms, and we mentioned it briefly. Now, Phil Simms, we can all, it's argued he was a tremendous leader. Everybody looked at him for, on the offensive side of the ball to be the leader at that point, like they do for every quarterback. But he did a fantastic job. You got the job done. You got your ring. Okay. Now Hostetler comes in. what's the mindset for those guys when you go into the huddle and there's a different guy now you got to listen to? I know it's next man up mentality, but this guy he was really unproven at that point. No,
Yeah,
I remember.
You got to remember he won 5 games. I mean, no, I'm sorry, he won 4 games going up to the playoffs, and then won 2 playoff games. I mean, we beat the Bears.
Yep, which was no easy feat. Yep,
it was no easy feat. We beat them 34. I think it's 34-3 was the score, and then we
the
turned
Niners
around.
game was close. That was 15-13.
Close, but Jeff played relentlessly. I mean, and then we come to the Super Bowl, and he's going to play the best defense in the AFC, and we're going to play the #1 offense in the AFC. And I think our play on defense motivated him to step up his game. And he played lights out football that day, man.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
Rumor has it that Belichick came up with a game plan to allow Thurman Thomas to run.
That's true. When he walked into the meeting, the week of the game, he walked into the meeting and he said to me, he said, "Leonard, I'm going to play you out of position this week." I go, "What do you mean you're going to play me out of position?" He says, I want you to line up and I want you to play left defensive end. I said, "Me play left defensive end? I've never played left defensive end all season, Bill." He goes, "Yeah, I want you to do it." I go, and where's Lawrence going to play? Lawrence is going to play your position. Okay, so that means we're going to play a 2 down lineman, 5 linebacker, 4 defensive back scheme. He goes, "That's right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to allow Thurman Thomas to run for 180 yards. If Thurman gets 180 yards, we'll win the game." I said, "What makes you say that, Bill?" "Because I want their running offense on the field more than I want their passing offense on the field." He goes, "They're a deep ball team. They like to throw deep. They like to score quick. We're not going to allow them to do either one of those.
Wow.
Go deep or score quick. We're going to make them pay for everything they get across the middle." And I'm telling you right now, I saw some of the hits on Andre Reed.
Andre Reed got his head taken off.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for them.
Wow. That's saying something right there, Len. I mean, oh my goodness. So now, and Sonny, I'm sorry. Okay.
Thanks for letting me relive that. I appreciate that.
But I'm going to say that, so now it comes down to the end of the game, and they got a chance to win the game with the field goal. Okay.
Yeah.
What is going through everybody's head at that point? Just,
Well, I can tell you what was going through mine. My mindset was, I had held out all the training camp because I wanted a new contract.
Right.
Which rewarded me with a contract, which brought me back to camp. I said, now we're 10-1, and I get my first start. No, we're 10-0. I get my first start that season against the 49ers. I didn't think I'd be coming back to the Giants. I was trying to get traded to New Orleans. I knew they weren't going to let that happen.
No.
And now I'm in the Super Bowl. So if I win this game, I turn to my father in the stands. I'm yelling at him, "If he misses this kick, you're getting a brand new car." And he was like, "What? Brand new car? Okay, boy." So my thing was, here I am living the dream reliving the dream of '86 again. Before the season began, I didn't think I was going to be a Giant, Chuck. I thought I was going to end up somewhere else. And as I guess God and life would have it, I end up getting another championship ring. So,
I mean,
close to the game, man.
That was, that goes down in the annals of one of the greatest Super Bowls probably ever, and coming right down to the wire. And at that point, the Bills had, couple in a row at that point, right, Sonny?
Yeah.
It was like, so it was tough for them, but I tell you what, the people in New York absolutely lost their minds when you guys did that. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The celebration after a championship is one of the greatest things ever, right, Len? I mean,
no doubt.
Ours was, I'm not comparing our championship win to what you guys did in the Super Bowl, but I know what it's like to celebrate that. Did you guys go to see the president at the time and all of that kind of stuff?
We did that. I saw 2 presidents. We did that. I took my mother to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
my first and second Pro Bowl. I took my parents to the second Super Bowl. They didn't make the first because I couldn't take everybody, and I was taking mom to Hawaii. There's some great moments and things that I remember, Chuck, that I still hold near and dear to my heart, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you got 2 rings. That's
not
bad. It's not bad, man. I'll take that any day. No,
I feel it coming out of you. I feel your words.
Louisiana on the bayou. I tell you, that's not too bad.
Yeah, come a long way, Len. There's no doubt about that. Come a long way. So give us a couple of before we get off the Giant stuff a little bit, give us a couple of Belichick and Parcells stories, ones that you could tell on air.
I think that the greatest Parcells story was we were playing, I'm trying to remember who it was. We were playing somebody, and we were playing horrible, man. I mean, we just were playing some of the worst football he had ever seen, I'd ever seen. I think it might have been the Raiders. And he came in, and he didn't say shit at halftime. He came in, Chuck, and he took a garbage can, and he picked it up, and he dumped all the trash in front of us. And he left the can on the floor. And we looked at each other and went, what the hell was that? And he turned around, he goes, you fucking guys are playing like garbage. You better come back here and play better than that the next half, or don't come back in my locker room at all. Dude, we went back out, and I'm telling you, we whooped the Raiders like you wouldn't believe. It was incredible what we did.
Yeah,
incredible.
Motivation and head coaches, man, if they're really good coaches, the motivational speeches can be of the littlest things. A guy dumps a garbage pail, and you guys get pissed and run out the door. Massimino gave us a speech about pasta on the halftime of the North Carolina game. He said, I'd rather be eating linguine and clam sauce with a lot of cheese on it. And we're like, what the heck is he talking about? But we were playing so tight. He was like, just go out and have fun. And we went out. Everybody's eyes exploded. We run on the court, and we beat North Carolina to go to the Final Four. So wow. I can relate, to coaches doing that type of thing. Yeah.
I think my greatest Belichick, since you brought up Belichick, my greatest Belichick memory was we'd go in the meeting room in the morning, and everybody had their place. The defensive line was sitting in one area. The linebackers would sit in one area. The secondary would sit in one area. The special teams guys, the kickers and punters would sit in one area. And if we were talking defensive football, sometime he'd bring the special teams guys in, the punter and the kicker, because we talk about field position and how important it is for them in the game.
Yep.
Harry had one chair. Harry had a recliner. And it was Harry's chair because he was the old man amongst us. And then George had a chair, George Martin.
Yep.
He was our other old man. But special chair. I sat back to the wall, made sure nobody could, I saw everything in front of me. And so one morning, they come in the meeting, LT sitting in Harry's chair. Taylor falls asleep in a meeting. I want you to know, they let him sleep. And then Belichick calls him up and asks him to come to the board. And he says, LT, if you weren't asleep, tell me what I just put up on the board and what that is. Dude, I don't know how this fool got up and did it, Chuck. He got up and he drew exactly everything that Belichick said. Now, I know the man was sleeping. We saw his eyes closed. That fool got up and drew everything he saw on that board, man. Like verbatim, like it was Belichick doing it. And that's when I said, that's it. I give up. That's
what made the guy great, though. Come on, Len.
Yeah.
That's what made him great. So, speaking of Belichick, did you see any of the Tom Brady roast recently?
I did. But
I got a newfound respect for him, Len. I really do. The guy's got a sense of humor. Who knew that? I mean,
who knew that, right?
He took jokes. He was a good sport. He dished it out. I was like, wow, that's really Bill Belichick. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, Lisa made me turn it off, Chuck, because she thought it was a little raunchy,
Oh, it was a
especially
lot
with
raunchy.
especially
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that girl. She thought the girl was
Oh, girl was crazy. Nikki Glazer. Yeah. But
Yeah,
that,
I mean, Belichick has a legendary sense of humor, from what I've understood.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
he does.
yeah.
He
Like
does,
like
man.
in his press conferences when they're asking him questions, he's like, we got beat on both sides of the ball, all three phases. We didn't score enough points. We didn't do this. He says a whole lot of nothing, and I know he's thinking, I'm just messing with this guy.
Oh yeah,
You can
Oh,
tell.
yeah.
that's him.
It's
You
a
can
game.
tell he's
I love it.
monotone. He's,
That
crazy.
that other one's just like him, though. That other one's just like him in Parcells.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
We would see Coach Parcells every time he went down to go visit Coach Mass in Florida. He'd
Is
be at
that
the
right?
same bagel store with his boys. And
Okay.
I'd always go in and say, hey, Leonard Marshall says hello. And then he would talk to me after I mentioned
That's
his name,
cool. That's cool.
So, yeah.
But different stature, right? Parcells is taller and Belichick's not as tall, right? Different.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Two different guys.
Okay, couple more, Leonard. We're going to get you out of here. All right.
Sure.
So one of the best nights we had it recently is going to see you get inducted into the Ring of Honor. Okay, at the Giant Stadium or MetLife. Okay,
It's huge.
Talk about what that felt like to you, because I know you were beaming, man, from ear to ear, and it was our honor to be there. Kathy and I came and saw you and supported you for that, man. I tell you what, it never was something more deserved than that. My only thing is why did it take so long? That was my only.
That's the thing with me. I mean, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that organization, Chuck.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of you know what pro sports is, man. You being a pro player, and there's some dark times, and there's some moments where you some great moments of doubt, but then there's times and moments where you go, I guess I deserve this. This is what I deserve. That night was a deserving moment for me. And not only was it special for me, it was special for my wife because I would tell her stories about what I did in football. I would tell her some of the sacrifices I had to make. People were partying in the summertime every summer. I was somewhere running wind sprints and jogging and lifting weights and on a special diet and trying to watch my body fat and watching a bunch of film on guys I'm going to play against the upcoming season. I just did things a little bit more unconventional than most guys. Most guys had a real summer. I didn't have a real summer. My summer was getting ready to go back to play football. So I made a commitment to myself when I was a kid to try to play 10 years in the NFL. I wanted to do something that my father didn't do for my mother. So one, put her in a house that she owned, and it was hers, and she owned it. She didn't. The bank didn't own it. She owned it. Two, I wanted to be able to help my siblings get to college, and extend his legacy somewhat, and I did that too. And then three, I wanted to play the game at such a high level that I left a mark on the game that could not be erased. That my kids, and the legacy in football will still remain with my father's name because I'm named after my dad. I'm Leonard A. Marshall Jr. I wanted to have that in perpetuity. So the culmination of that night represented all that hard work, all those wind sprints, all that yelling from Bill Parcells, all the bullshit that I put up with, having to turn cheek, Chuck, and sometimes you got to turn cheek.
Yep.
Okay. You got to do it. As a player, when they're paying you money, you got to do that. So that night was that. That night was like, okay, I'm finally getting my flowers. Let me take it gracefully.
Yeah.
Well, I think you left your mark not only on the field, but on a number of players.
I hope so.
I think Joe Montana has permanently tattooed on the back of his
Sonny,
head
you're a mess.
a 7-0.
It says 70 on his back, Sonny. That's right.
You are a mess.
It's a reverse 70 from when he hit him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just took garbage from Phil Simms about that a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he and Montana talk a lot. So
There you go.
That's a quarterback thing, don't you think?
Yeah, QB thing.
That's
Yeah.
why that's why he wears that red jersey in practice, right? You can't touch him.
Oh yeah.
You touch
Oh,
him.
yeah. I love me some Phil Simms.
Yeah.
Simms a good dude, man.
So tell everybody, Len, and we'll wrap it up with this. Tell everybody what you're doing now. I know you were working with kids for a while. I know you're an entrepreneur, but tell everybody what you're up to these days.
I'm doing a number of different things these days, Chuck. One of the things I'm doing that's really cool is I'm working with an organization in Manhattan called Caring Kind of New York, and we deal with and treat Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and dementia patients. It's a non-for-profit. I'm working with two wonderful people, women, Eleanor Tornatore and a young lady by the name of Courtney Dawson that I was introduced to a number of years ago. And every year we have a big event in Manhattan around this time of the year. We have a gala coming up on June 3rd, which I'm excited about. And hopefully we'll raise a bunch of money, raise a bunch of awareness, and find a way to treat and deal with Parkinson's. On the professional side, I'm involved and on the board of a company that has an FDA approved device and also has an FDA approved medication to treat Parkinson's. A company by the name of PikeTX.com, and between the transdermal patch that we have and the infusion of medication, we can prevent tremors in Parkinson's patients. We can also help deal with anxiety, and it's a little bit different medication than levodopa, which is something that Parkinson's is up taking. And the delivery system that we have is real unique. We were just in front of Congress a week ago. It looks like Congress loves what we're doing, and one of the people involved with us, Dr. Rachel German, who used to work for the Food and Drug Administration. In the drug area, she has done a wonderful job in masterfully coordinating the team and assisting our CEO, Mr. Brad Miles, with everything he needs to help us win in that area. So I'm looking forward to what comes of Pike and how we can now begin to deploy Pike and help some of these people that are dealing with Parkinson's. Another area that I'm focused on is teaching young people NIL, teaching them about legacy wealth and the transference of wealth with athletics, especially kids that are coming out of high school and getting into college athletics. The NCAA does not have a union like they have in pro sports. So kids don't learn how to save money. They don't know what insurance is. They don't know what taxes are. They don't know any of these, the 10 responsibilities that you do come to find out about when you become an adult and a tax-paying citizen. So I want to educate young people on that. I want to help them not deal with the trials and tribulations and the pitfalls, as you see on this new Netflix series called Broke. I don't know if you guys have seen this. There's a new Netflix series called Broke, and it talks about pro athletes becoming pro athletes and not being prepared for it. And the next thing you know, 3 years out of football, they're divorced. 3 years out of the NBA, they're divorced. 5 years out, they're broke. They're destitute. Some of them take jobs in ShopRite. Some of them take jobs wherever they possibly can. And it's a shame that happens, but it happens because of discipline. So I want to help young people with that, Chuck. I want to see if I can do a better job than what's been done before with athletes. I'm one of them. You're one of them. And whenever I can uplift a young person and try to teach them and give them some knowledge, I will do so.
That's excellent, man. I mean, listen, what a great way to finish that up with all this great stuff you're doing, Len. Keep up the great work. You're making everybody proud, all your friends and family.
Yeah, that's off the chain.
And when we really, really appreciate you sharing your time with us today. It was great. It was great talking to you, as it always is.
I love you to death, boy.
We always have fun, man.
Yes,
we always
sir.
have.
Yes, sir. Sonny, it's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. Heard a lot about you.
I'm going to close this up. I'm going to close this up. Hang out for a second, and we'll say goodbye to you properly off the air. So you've been listening to and watching the Big East Rewind with Sonny Sparrow and Chuck Everson. The Big East Rewind is produced and directed by Nick Chico Chorus and Daryl Gurney. Check us out on all things social media by putting Big East Rewind in the search bar, and on our website, www.bigeastrewind.com. Thanks a lot for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks, folks. Thanks, Len.